What is up, guys? We're gonna be woman.
From children as young as 6 years old murdering their best friend, to a teenager who killed his mother without a second thought, we take a look at 10 of the youngest murderers of all time. Number 10. Carl Newton Mahan. Carl Newton Mahan was 6 years of age when he murdered his best friend, Cecil Van Hoos, who was 8 years old at the time, over a bit of scrap iron on May 18, 1929 in eastern Kentucky. Since circumstances were difficult, the two young men were out searching for scrap metal to offer to a garbage merchant for cash. They started battling about a bit of scrap iron, and Cecil smacked Carl in the face with it. Carl ran home with Cecil right behind him. He got his dad's shotgun and said he was going to shoot Cecil, and he did. Carl went to trial for the homicide of Van Hoos. The first sentencing was 15 years in change school. However, it was later overturned and the judge issued a writ of prohibition that kept him from going to change school. Around then, Carl was the youngest litigant in the state of Kentucky, and perhaps the nation. Number 9. Daniel Bartlum.
I really don't understand. He's gonna murder somebody over a piece of metal? Come on, man. Come on.
Daniel Bartlum was only 14 years of age when he murdered his mom, Jacqueline Bartlum, without a second thought. On Easter 2011, when his mom dozed, Daniel killed her by hitting her several times with a hook hammer. Daniel set his mom's body ablaze before ringing the police and reporting that a criminal had executed her. Investigators soon saw irregularities in Daniel's case and looked at his PC, where they recouped an erased record detailing his mother's murder plans in the form of a story. Bartlum had no rationale. However, Jacqueline's previous partner affirmed that Daniel had a taste for savage movies and games. The 14-year-old was sentenced to at least 16 years in jail.
What?
Number 8. Graham Young. Graham Young was a youthful science genius, concentrating on studies so much that he procured a postgraduate science understudies level of learning when he was 14. Tragically, Young utilized his great intellect to inflict pain. He poisoned his dad, mother, sister, and grandma. Eventually, he was thrown into the system, yet he even poisoned his doctor's staff and other prisoners at the maximum security clinic that was holding him. Once discharged, Young kept on poisoning his relatives and companions until he was at long last sent back to jail forever. Number 7. George Stinney. On June 16, 1944, the United States set a record when they executed George Stinney, who was 14 years of age at the time, the most youthful individual to be legitimately executed in the U.S. George was convicted of homicide of two young ladies named Betty June Binnicker, who was 11, and Mary Emma Thames, who was 8 at the time. They were both found in a muddy hole. The young ladies endured extreme fractures to their skulls, incurred by a railroad spike discovered some miles from town. George admitted to the wrongdoing and said that he wanted to have intercourse with Betty, yet ended up executing the young ladies. He was tried and sentenced to death by electric chair. Number 6. Eric Smith. At 13, Eric Smith was tormented in view of his thick glasses, spots, red hair, and one other quality. He had protruding, stretched ears. These were accepted to be a symptom of medication his mom had taken for her epilepsy when she was pregnant. Police accused Smith of the homicide of a 4-year-old kid named Derek Roby.
Hey, a 4-year-old kid, and how old he is right now? That's not cool at all. Like, seriously, not at all.
Sir had been strangled, had big rocks dropped on his head, and had been sodomized with a little stick. At the point when inquired as to why he did it, Smith could not give a definitive answer. A specialist determined Smith had intermittent explosive disorder, a condition in which an individual can't control their inner anger. Smith was sentenced and went to jail. He's been in jail for a long time and has been denied parole 5 times. Number 5. Alyssa Bustamante. Alyssa Bustamante killed her 9-year-old neighbor, Elizabeth Olton, in Missouri in 2009. Bustamante cut open Olton's throat and wounded her before covering her in a pre-dug grave in the forest.
What?
Bustamante assaulted Olton when she was strolling home from a friend's house. The trial heard that Bustamante had serious mental issues, a troublesome family life, and had already endeavored suicide. In spite of her emotional well-being, she was tried as an adult and sentenced to life in jail. Bustamante expressed that she killed Olton to see what killing felt like. Number 4. Joshua Phillips. Joshua Phillips was involved in one of the most shocking adolescent murder trials in history. after he killed his 8-year-old neighbor, Maddie Clifton. Maddie had left her home at...
See, like, most of them are 8-year-olds and most of them are neighbors. So, my gosh. Dang, man. Some of these people are just crazy over stuff.
5:30 p.m. to play basketball. However, never returned. Joshua claims that he and Maddie were playing baseball when he coincidentally hit her with a ball. Maddie began crying, and Phillips claimed he froze and hit her in the head to make her quit shouting. Phillips then conveyed Clifton into his home and shrouded her body under his bed. His mom found Clifton's body after a week because of the scent originating from his room. Phillips was accused of first-degree murder and was sentenced to life without the chance for further appeal. Number 3. Kipland Kinkle. Informally voted as the student well on the way to begin World War III, Kipland Kinkle was basically sent home for the intolerable offense of bringing a firearm to class. When he returned, he was armed with a rifle which he used to start shooting people in the cafeteria, executing 2 students and harming 8 others. Police discovered both of his guardians killed at his home. His mom's body was booby-trapped with explosives. Number 2. Mary Bell. In 1968, 11-year-old Mary Bell killed 2 young men in the town of Scotswood, in northeast England.
2 young
The young men were named...
2 young men. Come on. This is not cool.
Martin Brown, age 4, and Brian Howe, age 3. Bell strangled Martin Brown in an abandoned house. A couple of months after the fact, Howe's body and cut an M into his stomach. Bell was detained until 1980, when she was questionably discharged with another identity. Bell has spoken secretly about her acts, referring to sexual abuse at an early age as the reason for her criminal conduct. Up in a shopping center, Bulger was baited away by Venables and Thompson, while his mom was occupied. The young men brought Bulger on a long stroll along a trench, and amid this time, they were spotted by about 40 different witnesses. All witnesses asserted that they accepted Bulger to be their more youthful sibling. The pair went ahead to subject Bulger to physical and sexual assault, and afterward, dumped Bulger's body on some railroad tracks and secured him with stones. Bulger was later hit by a train, and his body was found 2 days later.
Dang. Alright guys, I hope y'all really enjoyed